am so absolutely full of crap. How did I end up back here? That was me sitting in my car outside the salon thinking, Cheri, you teach people how to avoid burnout. And here you are again, completely burnt out. Again. And that moment, that little crack of honesty changed the way I look at myself and the work that I do. Because even when you know better, even when you've built a system to protect your energy, real life has a way of testing it. Hi, I'm Cheri Doren. I'm a real world behind the chair hairstylist with almost 40 years of experience, a salon owner and the creator of the Defined Stylist Method. I have grown successful clienteles in vastly different markets to 6 figures, and I want to help you be successful no matter what market you're in or where you live. You would think that after almost 4 decades behind the chair, owning my salon for 27, and after teaching hundreds of stylists how to prevent burnout, I'd have it all figured out. But here's the truth. I still hit burnout. Even though I know my purpose, even though I've learned how to protect my energy, even though I created an entire framework and program, the Defined Stylist Method, to help others avoid it, I still find myself doing too much, taking too much on, and ignoring the very tools I teach. Before we dive deeper, if you're finding yourself nodding along to this, would you hit like and subscribe? Because we talk about the real, honest side of this industry here. The part that no one prepares you for. And that's exactly what I want to talk about today. Because just knowing what to do isn't always enough when real life shows up. I used to think burnout only happened to people who didn't love what they do. But here's the thing. I love what I do. Connecting with people, helping them feel seen, heard, and valued, making them feel better about themselves, it's my calling. It lights me up every single day. But that same passion is what's tripped me up over and over and over again. Because I care so deeply about my people, my clients, my students, my family, I take it all on. Their worries, their schedules, their comfort, and somewhere along the way, I stopped caring for myself in the same way. Because when you're in the thick middle of real life, when people ask more of you, when the salon is short-staffed, when someone needs you, when you squeeze in just one more, it's so easy to slip back into the take it all on mode. Do you ever think it'll slow down after this week or this month or this season? But that slowdown, it never comes. Yeah, I know, me too. And before I know it, I'm overcommitted, I'm overthinking, and I'm running on fumes. And even though I can recognize it, even though I can feel it happening, I still push through. You'd think that once you realize you're a people pleaser, you could just stop. But it's not that simple, is it? For me, people pleasing has always been tangled up with love, with service, with pride in my work. It's not about saying yes because I'm weak. It's because I want to help. I want everyone to feel taken care of. And I want to be loved. And I've had to learn again and again that it's not my job to make everyone comfortable, especially when it's at the expense of my own health, peace, and energy. But when you've literally spent your whole life and your career proving your worth through how much you give, it's hard to know when to stop giving. And that's where the burnout creeps back in, quietly, slowly, disguised as just one more thing. When I created the Defined Stylist Method, I built it around 5 core tenets. Things like developing your personal mission and vision, defining your business culture, setting structure, and taking control of your finances. These aren't just nice ideas. I think of them as life preservers for when you start to sink. But here's what I've realized. It's so easy to know the tools. It's much harder to use them when you're tired, you're stressed, or you're overwhelmed. And here's the truth. I've done the work. I've faced the fact that I'm a people pleaser. But what no one tells you is that even when you heal that part of yourself, it still whispers. And it's sneaky because it doesn't feel like people pleasing in the moment. It feels like love. It feels like service. It feels like doing what's right. But when love turns into self-abandonment, it's not service anymore. It's sacrifice. And that's where I found myself again. So one morning, I sat down with my journal, something I had not done in weeks, and I wrote at the top, what would I tell one of my students right now? And I laughed because the answer was clear. I'd tell her to go back to her mission and vision, to remind herself of why she's doing this work, to stop trying to be everything for everyone, to come back to her own defined stylist. And I realized the framework I built wasn't just something I could teach. It's something that I have to live every day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. That's what defining yourself first really means. Not that you'll always get it right, but that you'll know how to come home to yourself when you don't. When real life hits, when the salon gets busy, when clients are rescheduling, when you're managing your family or your finances, it's so easy to default back into old habits, to skip your boundaries just this once, to tell yourself just one more client, she really needs you, to say yes because it feels easier than saying no. Because being busy proves I'm worthy. It's so easy because people pleasing can look like good business, look like you're being a good person, mother, partner, friend. And before you know it, you've drifted so far away from the structure you built for yourself. But I've learned something very important. Burnout does not mean that you've failed. It doesn't mean you're not living authentically or that you're misaligned. It just means you're a human. And you're still learning how to live your values when life gets messy. That's why I built the Defined Stylist to be a living practice, not a set of rules. You don't master it once and then you're done. You return to it again and again, refining it as you evolve. Because living in alignment isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest. Honest enough to notice when you've drifted away and brave enough to come back. So if you are in that place right now where you know better, but you still feel stuck, where you're tired and stretched thin, please hear this. You're not failing. You're just in the process of learning how to do it differently. You're unbecoming the very thing that burnt you out in the first place. The truth is, burnout will still try to find you even when you've done all the work. But every time it does, you have a chance to respond differently, to pause sooner, to rest without guilt, and to return to your mission and you remind yourself why you started in the first place. And that's what I'm still learning to do. To give myself grace while walking the path I teach others to walk. So yes, I can be full of crap. I do still hit burnout. Even with all of my experience, all of my knowledge, and all my tools. But each time I recover faster, each time I recognize it sooner, and each time I choose myself a little quicker than before. And maybe that's what growth really looks like. Not like never failing, but returning home to yourself every time you do. If this spoke to you, can you give this video a thumbs up and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one? On this channel, we talk about the real side of being a hairstylist, the one that no one talks about. And if you haven't already, go watch my video called Because this story is just one piece of a bigger conversation about why burnout keeps showing up and what it's really trying to teach us. Because it is your life and it is your career and you can live it your way. I'll see you in the next video.